25 Bible verses about Sarah. 25 Bible verses about Sarah. Genesis 17:15. God said to Abraham, "As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name." God changed Sarah's name to signify her new role as mother of the promised nation. Genesis 18:12. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I am worn out, and my Lord is old, shall I have pleasure?" Sarah laughed in disbelief when God promised her a son in her old age. Genesis 21:1. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. God fulfilled his promise to Sarah by giving her a son. Genesis 21:6. Sarah said, "God has made me laugh, and all who hear will laugh with me." Sarah rejoiced in the joy of God's goodness. Genesis 21:7. And she said, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age." Sarah marveled at the miracle of her pregnancy. Hebrews 11:11. By faith Sarah herself also received strength to conceive seed, and she bore a child when she was past the age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Sarah's faith in God's promise allowed her to conceive a son. Genesis 17:17. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his heart, "Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child?" Abraham and Sarah both expressed doubt when God promised them a son. Genesis 18:10. And he said, "I will certainly return to you according to the time of life, and behold, Sarah your wife shall have a son." And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. God promised Sarah a son directly, and she heard it. Genesis 21:3. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Sarah gave birth to the promised son, Isaac. Genesis 21:4. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Sarah and Abraham both obeyed God's commands. Genesis 21:9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Sarah was concerned about the tension between her son and Ishmael. Genesis 21:14. So Abraham rose early in the morning, and took bread and a skin of water, and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and gave her the boy, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Sarah asked Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away to protect Isaac. Genesis 23:1. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Sarah lived to a ripe old age. Genesis 23:2. So Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Abraham mourned deeply for his beloved wife. Genesis 23:16. And Abraham heeded Ephron. And Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Abraham was able to purchase a burial ground for Sarah with the help of Ephron. Genesis 24:67. Then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Isaac was comforted after Sarah's death when he married Rebekah. Genesis 25:10. The field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. Sarah was buried in the same field as Abraham. 1 Peter 3:6. As Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters you are if you do good and are not afraid with any terror. Sarah obeyed Abraham and was an example of submission. Hebrews 11:11. By faith even Sarah herself received power to conceive, even beyond the proper time of life, since she considered him faithful who had promised. Sarah's faith allowed her to conceive despite her age. Romans 9:9. For this is the word of promise, at this time I will come and Sarah shall have a son. God promised Abraham and Sarah a son. Exodus 23:25. You shall serve the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread and your water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of you. God promised to protect Sarah and her son. Psalm 127:3. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb is a reward. God blessed Sarah with a son. Proverbs 31:28. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Sarah was praised for her faithfulness to her husband. Isaiah 51:2. Look to Abraham your father, and to Sarah who bore you, for I called him alone, and blessed him and increased him. God blessed Abraham and Sarah. Romans 4:19. And not being weak in faith, he did not consider his own body, already dead, since he was about 100 years old, and the deadness of Sarah's womb. Abraham and Sarah both continued to trust in God despite their age. The Bible meaning of Sarah: unveiling the woman of faith. Father, grandfather, minister, missionary, deacon, elder, author. Welcome to our family. View all posts.